Fearful of the millionaire, they never saw the waitress's incredible truth coming revealed. Lily wiped down a table at Millionaire diner, the steam from fresh coffee swirling, mingling with her racing thoughts. Outside, the crisp autumn air danced with leaves, while inside, the laughter and chatter created a comforting chaos. Yet, beneath that warmth simmered a chill brought by Victor, the sharp-suited businessman who had come for one thing, to displace everything she loved. She had been part of this diner for over a decade, pouring coffee and handing out plates, but now it felt like she was standing on shaky ground, a tightrope between survival and the looming threat of an uncertain future. The whispers among the regulars turned sharper, their eyes darting to Victor's every visit. They saw him as a ruthless predator, she could feel it in her bones. He was after their diner, the community's lifeblood. "It's not just a job," she muttered under her breath, her hands trembling slightly. "It's our lives." With every passing day, each shift felt like a test. She was the lone defender fighting against a potent enemy, and yet, behind her fierce determination lingered an uneasy fear. What if Victor succeeded? What if he turned her home into another luxury item for the elite, leaving her and her son in the dust? Balance teetered on the edge of a knife as she stepped into the diner's back room, the scent of grease and sweet pastries wrapping around her. Earlier that week, she discovered the letters and sketches in her grandmother's attic, an unexpected inheritance that tingled with possibilities. They spoke of architecture, linking her family unknowingly to the very kind of artistry that could save her diner. For the first time in years, she felt a flicker of ambition gnawing at the suffocating weight of her struggles. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As her mind raced with the idea of transforming the diner into a vibrant cultural hub, tensions escalated amongst the locals, egged on by Victor's ambitions. Each shift at Mel's felt heavier as the anxiety of potential betrayal loomed. The diner buzzed with murmurs of loyalty, yet within her heart, doubts twisted like vines. She pictured the new renovations, a place that could uplift local talents as sanctuary. Yet what if it was all a mirage? What if her dreams were simply a futile wish against that tidal wave of privilege? In the chaos of her thoughts, Sam walked in, a childhood friend who brought his art materials, shattering the weight of dread. His encouragement lit a spark. But suddenly, Victor entered, his presence casting a shadow, and Lily's resolve trembled like a flickering flame. "What do you want?" she blurted without thought, her anger boiling over. She confronted him about the impending threat, their eyes locking in a tense standoff. His expression morphed from amused to something deeper. Just like that, they were brought to an unexpected truth: his grandfather had once mentored her father. Her breath caught, the moment stretched. Did ambition or family loyalty shape them both? Could they bridge the chasm created by the weight of class? The air pulsed with unresolved questions as Lily felt the walls closing in, desperation clawing at her throat. Could she push past her fears and seize her dreams, or would the weight of Victor's legacy crush her before she could even begin? The future loomed, full of uncertainty, as she stood at the edge, every heartbeat echoing the unresolved plea of a community, her heart and hope hanging in the balance. Lily stood rigid, her mind a storm of conflicting emotions. The discussion with Victor opened a window onto a past she barely understood, illuminated only by patchy memories and distant whispers. The tension between them crackled, an unspoken challenge igniting her ambitions, but it also left her floundering. She was shocked at her own audacity. Under the weight of potential threats, she felt compelled to confront Victor once more, hoping to grasp just a thread of possibility from their sudden connection. "Your grandfather, what did he teach you?" The question slipped from her lips before she could fully consider the implications. She was surprised at her boldness, the desperation empowering her voice. Victor raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement almost breaking through the icy mask he wore. But instead of speaking, he merely scrutinized her, as if weighing her worth in this game of stakes she had unwittingly joined. "He taught me to take risks," he replied finally, his tone missing any hint of warmth. Lily felt a pang in her chest as she processed that simple truth. Was she not also risk-taker, even if constrained by circumstance? Ambition surged within her, battling with the prevailing doubt that often dulled her aspirations. Today, she had just glimpsed the ambitious road ahead and the prospect electrified her. Fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, she returned to her duties, her movements more deliberate, infused with determination. At a table in the corner, she could see Sam sketching, his pencil creating vivid images that danced across the page. Inspired, she made a decision: she would turn the diner into a sanctuary for creativity. It was what her family's art had always represented, an expression and exploration of self, pivotal for survival in a harsh world. "Hey, Sam," she called, a spark igniting in her. "What do you think about us hosting an art night here? A showcase for locals?" Sam's eyes lit up, the prospect igniting his own passion, and he leaned in, his excitement contagious. As they discussed ideas, their laughter mingled with the clatter of dishes, a chorus of resilience against the looming threat outside. Building enthusiasm among the regulars, Lily envisioned an array of activities, a space for art, music, and storytelling to transform Mel's into a cultural incubator, but as the day wore on, dread crept back. In her heart, uncertainty halted her momentum. What if this plan fell flat? What if Victor crushed her dreams before they could materialize? Stepping into the back room, she seized her grandmother's sketches, tracing the lines with her fingers, absorbing the heritage that lay within them. Their elegance whispered encouragement, the very act of creation depicted there lived within her. Could she draw from that legacy to fight back? The tools of creativity lay in those very pages. Indeed, she wouldn't raise her dream, she would build it, crafting something from the ashes of fear, choosing to be the architect of her own future. With resolve swelling in her chest, Lily stepped outside the diner door, her gaze drawn toward the changing leaves, a symbol of the potential ahead. The community's heartbeat thrummed in the air around her, the mood was ripe for change. The mere thought of Victor's slick ambition squashed under the weight of a unified effort propelled her into action, yet, just as she was gathering her thoughts, her phone buzzed, the screen lit up with a notification. It was a message from Victor, requesting a meeting to discuss a proposal for the diner. Her heart raced. Would this be an opportunity for negotiation, or did he intend to repeat the ruthless demands of his forefathers? The thought sent her mind spiraling once again. The moment felt charged, a pivotal turn awaited. Would she stand her ground against this man, or would doubt once again imprison her dreams? Lily's heart hammered as she stared at Victor's message. Each word felt laden with the weight of expectation, a battle line drawn between ambition and fear. She could choose to ignore it, to let that night slip into another routine, a choice that would keep her anchored to the very doubts she yearned to escape. But the yearning to reclaim her narrative propelled her into action. She paced in the back room, biting her lip as she mulled over her response. What could she bring to this conversation? Victor was a formidable adversary. He possessed the power to dismantle her newfound vision and the confidence that far exceeded her own. Yet, like a compass guiding her, the sketches illuminated her path, unique lines that told stories of struggle and triumph. Fueled by a primal need to assert herself, she took a deep breath. Instead of hiding behind insecurity, she decided to adopt the principles her grandfather had instilled in her: confront, adapt, and innovate. If Victor saw himself as a force, she would become a hurricane. After an agonizing pause, she typed a reply, voice trembling slightly with newfound resolve. "I'd be happy to discuss your proposal, but I would like to share my ideas for the diner first. I want to create a space for local artists to express themselves." Sending the message felt like sending a piece of her heart into the fray. Anticipation churned in her stomach as she pulled together her thoughts for the meeting. She knew she had to be strategic. She must present her ideas in a way that showcased their potential while guarding against Victor's attempts to undermine them. She brainstormed ways to weave her family's legacy into the diner's core, highlighting the history and emotional resonance of art as community, not merely a commercial venture. As she prepped her notes, she took a moment to glance outside, reminded of her earlier moment under the changing leaves, the storytelling depicted by nature itself. The fleeting beauty mirrored her own evolution, change was constant, and she felt it surge through her. Eccentric as it seemed, she envisioned the sketches in her mind becoming lush murals painted along the diner walls, the colors an embrace of creativity. The hour approached for her meeting with Victor, and Lily straightened her shirt, ruffling her hair one last time in front of the mirror. "You've got this," she whispered, anchoring her resolve. It was a showdown of wills, and she refused to be a pawn. When Victor arrived, the air shifted, thick with unspoken possibilities. In his tailored suit, he seemed a titan, but all she saw was the man before her. "Lily," he greeted, his voice a smooth drawl. "Victor," she countered, surprising herself with the steadiness of her tone. "I appreciate you meeting with me." As they settled into the booth, she felt the undercurrents of pulsating tension, a wariness emanating from him. It felt as if they both sensed that whatever transpired in this small diner could ripple into realms neither had anticipated. "Let's get started," he said, a hint of impatience coloring his words. Lily took a deep breath, ready to lay bare her vision and her resilience to defend it. "I want to propose a collaboration." She plunged forward, determined not to let doubt cloud her resolve, shaping her words into a fortress of conviction. Yet, as she spoke, she watched Victor's expressions closely, a flicker of skepticism here, an intrigued nod there. Each change became a puzzle she aimed to solve. If she could just hold his interest long enough, perhaps she could pivot the conversation. But no sooner had she laid out her ideas, both bold and intimate, did a jarring thought spark in her mind. What if Victor's fight was not against her vision as much as a deeper competition with the shadows of his own past? Did he fear creativity more than she realized, uncertain of how to navigate authenticity amidst his inherited empire? The moment felt precarious, tightly coiled, as if a single breath could unravel everything. Would she manage to turn the tide? Would Victor embrace her vision, or would her courage falter under the weight of his ambition? The answer lingered just beyond their words, an impending clash of potential, and in that vital moment, Lily could feel the stakes pushing her to the edge. Would she ultimately reveal her strength, or would this meeting dissolve her dreams once more? Lily launched into her presentation, her voice gaining strength as she described the vision she had crafted for the diner. Imagine a space alive with art murals that tell stories, local musicians providing the soundtrack, and performances that showcase diverse talents. It could be a hub for creativity. Victor sat back, tracing the edge of his glass with his thumb, seemingly unimpressed. "Interesting concept, but how do you plan to finance this? Art doesn't always convert to profit." His skepticism pricked at her confidence, but she refused to back down. "Funding can come from local businesses and grants aimed at revitalizing community spaces. I have researched several options. It's about creating a shared value not just financially but culturally." He raised an eyebrow, and she caught a flicker of challenge in his dark eyes. "Cultural value doesn't pay the lease, Lily. I know you want to elevate the diner, but you must understand the realities of running a business." She felt a momentary wave of doubt. Could he see her persistence as naivete? The familiarity of that sinking feeling surged within her. She recognized it, but she didn't let it settle. Instead, she pressed on, pushing aside the creeping insecurity. "Every successful business has started with a vision, Victor," she countered, leaning forward, drawn into the intensity of the conversation. "What if this diner became the heart of our community, an investment in people's passions? We could attract new customers and artists, revitalizing the entire area." Victor shifted, clearly weighing her words against his calculated perspective. The tension thickened, like a weight teetering on a precarious edge. She knew this was more than a meeting, it was a test of loyalty to herself and her dreams. "The idea is romantic," he finally said, his voice laced with skepticism. "But sentiment alone won't carve out a niche in today's market." Her heart raced. Was she being naive, or was he simply too entrenched in his own ideas to see the potential? She didn't want to abandon her goals, yet doubt's clawing fingers beckoned her to retreat. If we want to succeed, we must adapt our perspectives, challenge norms that stifle creativity, she said, the fire igniting in her chest once more. What are you afraid of, Victor? Losing control? Or perhaps losing sight of what makes this business special? A stunned silence blanketed the table. She dared to lock eyes with him, searching for a crack in his carefully maintained facade. The confrontation felt invigorating. It was no longer just a proposal, it became a crucial moment for both of them, a game of vulnerability against guarded ambition. Victor's demeanor shifted, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a glimmer of uncertainty. You're playing a dangerous game with your emotions, Lily, he warned, though the edge in his voice lacked its earlier bite. Your connections might be more emotional than practical. Isn't that where real power lies? She could feel her pulse quickening, a thread of defiance threading through her. Art conveys messages that no spreadsheet ever could. It connects people, invokes feelings, and creates lasting impressions. Do you believe that enough to stake your future on it? His gaze was penetrating, dissecting, as if searching for the truth of her convictions. I do, she said, the certainty growing within her. And I am ready to embrace whatever it takes. As the words left her lips, she witnessed something shift within him, an acknowledgement that carved an opening steeped in potential. But just as quickly, it flickered away, replaced by an inscrutable expression as though he was once again retreating into his fortress. The air grew electric, and she could sense the stakes rising higher. Would Victor engage with her? Would he be willing to explore if his own reluctance stemmed from insecurities, or would they remain locked in opposing corners, the battle eminently unresolved? Lily wondered, not for the first time, how far she was willing to go. In that critical moment, the way forward shimmered before her, precarious yet full of possibility. Would she rise to her full potential, ready to claim her space in the world? The answer hung tantalizingly in the balance, and as tension filled the diner, she braced for what Victor might reveal next. Perhaps, in this game of cat and mouse, it was time for the real truths to emerge, his hidden fears as much as her own. Would the revelations bring them together, or would they be the catalysts that drove them apart? The silence stretched, thickening like fog around them, as Victor's expression morphed from inscrutable to vulnerable. Blood rushed in her ears, drowning out the din of clattering dishes and low conversations. Everything else faded into a blurred backdrop of noise. Lily took a deep breath, grasping the moment. The air felt charged, every heartbeat echoing the unspoken tension. Emotion can be a powerful driver. Victor finally broke the silence, his voice dropping an octave, punctuating his words with weight. But I've seen it derail plans more than it has propelled them. Have you? She challenged, intrigued by the conflicting notes of his voice. When did you last rely on something other than logic to guide your decisions? The directness of her question hung in the air, and for a split second, she regretted pressing. Would he retreat into his defenses again? But it didn't matter, she was past that. Something deep inside her knew that this confrontation was necessary, both for her vision and for the man across from her. He leaned back slightly, eyes narrowing as he evaluated her. You believe in emotion and creativity. But can that alone sustain a business, especially one as traditional as a diner? That's just it, Victor, Lily asserted, resolved to dismantle his rigid perceptions. The diner doesn't have to remain traditional. Creativity can coexist with practicality. What if we redefine our business model? Diversification isn't just financial, it can also mean evolving how we connect with our customers. His brow furrowed. You're suggesting we abandon the foundation that built this place for something nebulous and untested. You don't know what that would entail. Doubt flickered in the depths of her mind, but she locked it away. No, but I'm willing to discover it. Risks can't be ignored, but living in fear will surely kill any potential for growth. You claim to want success, why avoid the very things that could drive us there? For a moment, silence wrapped around them as she watched him wrestle with her words. Perhaps they were closer to understanding than they had ever realized, both bounding the edges of fear and ambition. Here's the crux of it, Lily, he began, hesitating as if the weight of his honesty bore down on him. I started this diner with a vision of stability. I lost a lot before, and I can't afford to lose again. Emotion feels like a threat, one that could skew my judgment. The admission felt like a crack in his armor, a shift that offered her an unexpected insight. What if this isn't just about the diner? She asked softly, heart pounding as she opened the door to a different conversation, to a deeper possibility. What if facing our fears together can create something extraordinary? He hesitated, eyes flickering with derision and curiosity. You think teaming up with you will change that? Why not? What if we combined our visions, your experience with my passion? We could breathe life back into this diner, making it a sanctuary for innovation amid everything we've lost. But it requires trust, and I need to know you're willing to walk that path with me. Victor's silence was maddening, yet it stirred something fierce within her. A part of her wondered if she was pushing too far, too fast. But another part clung to hope, a realization that both of their lives had become entangled in shared fears. He needed her as much as she needed him, though she wouldn't show desperation, she was betting on a future she could feel setting its roots. Tell me something, Lily ventured, her voice lowering to a soft entreaty. What is the one dream you would pursue if you weren't afraid of failing? His eyes flashed, the walls thickening again around his heart, but she knew she had struck a nerve. That's irrelevant, he muttered, the tension snapping back into place. Is it? If you want a future, you must confront your fears. How much longer can you hide behind the shell of practicality? The intensity of their exchange hung in the air, electrifying with implicit questions. The diner buzzed around them, oblivious, while they stood on the precipice of a choice. For the first time, uncertainty enveloped them both, his hesitance, her ambition, twin forces colliding. As they locked eyes, she knew one truth for certain, the battle wasn't only about the diner, it was about uncovering hidden parts of themselves. Would they find the courage to confront what lay beneath? This moment could either shatter their fragile alliance or forge a new path, one where fear yielded to collaboration. Would Victor finally reveal the dream that had suffered in silence, or would his walls rise higher, locking them both away? Lily's heart pounded, her desperation clashing against Victor's impenetrable silence. She had drawn a line in the sand, issuing a challenge not just to him but to herself. Was she truly ready to navigate the uncertainty of this partnership? Unfurling a hidden ambition she never fully acknowledged, she leaned in, determined to breach the barriers separating them. Every time we hold back, she said slowly, her voice steady despite the turmoil swirling within her, we're allowing our dreams to wither. I'm asking you to consider the potential that lies in vulnerability. If our relationship with this diner can evolve, so can we. Victor's gaze flickered, shadows of memories hidden behind his determined facade. She could almost see the wheels turning in his mind, grappling with decades of conditioning forcing him to resist the risk. He seemed to wrestle with a vision both enticing and terrifying, one where creativity flourished. What if I say yes? He finally spoke, his tone cautious yet curiously speculative, revealing a glimmer of intrigue. What if I take that leap with you? A wave of elation rushed through Lily, yet it was tinged with an undercurrent of fear. Could she truly inspire him to embrace change? The enormity of the challenge ahead pressed down on her like a lead weight. Then we start small, she suggested, her voice growing stronger. Perhaps we can pilot a new menu item or host a themed night. Something that invites customers to interact with us not just in a transactional way, but emotionally. We can test the waters before diving in. Victor's brow furrowed, his skepticism still palpable, but she saw a flicker of interest as he considered the implications. What if it fails? He countered, arms crossed defensively. What if people reject it? Failure is part of growth, she countered, urgency creeping into her tone. If we want to stimulate our community, we have to embrace that possibility. The risks are daunting, but not nearly as daunting as staying static, trapped in fear. Imagine the stories we could create, the connections we could build. Wouldn't that mean more than avoiding the discomfort of change? His jaw tight, Victor stared off into the distance, perhaps envisioning a new aesthetic for the diner, perhaps an excited crowd chatting animatedly amid fresh decor. The thought seemed foreign yet familiar, almost like a repressed impulse breaking free. Lily took a breath, strategic and wary, studying the subtle shifts in his demeanor. If he could just touch the dream they could create together, the future could be brighter than either of them envisioned. You once mentioned that you value stability, and that's valid. But what if stability could be achieved not through stagnation but through innovation? Wouldn't that preserve the diner's legacy while also propelling it forward? The tension in the air remained vibrant, each word lingered between them like a live wire, tethering them to an uncertain future. It's hard to give up uncertainty when you've been anchored to it for so long. The vulnerability in Victor's admission left Lily feeling more connected to him than ever. Perhaps, but growth requires discomfort, she replied gently, emboldened by the flicker of openness she sensed in him. It may be disorienting at first, but what if we discovered something beautiful at the end of this exploration? The chance to create a community around our diner, to foster real connections. It's worth the risk, isn't it? He hesitated, caught in a bind of deeply ingrained caution and the enchantment of untapped potential. The depth of his struggle resonated with her own journey of self-discovery, one she had begun only recently. What will you do if I cannot shake off my fear? Victor's question hung between them, both daunting and revelatory. Then we'll face it together, she replied, her optimism coating the raw truth of his resistance. Every step of the way, I'll be right beside you. We'll redefine what it means to run this diner, and along the way, we might just redefine ourselves. With that, an almost palpable shift occurred. In the space between them. He seemed to take a deep breath, surrendering to the potential of their collaboration, however cautiously. But as the restaurant buzzed around them, a gnawing anxiety stirred within her mind. Could she really guide him through his fears? The notion where passion and pragmatism could intermingle began to exhilarate her spirit. Yet, invisibly, a question lingered: what darkness would emerge from the depths of their uncertainty as they ventured into this uncharted journey? Lily caught a fleeting glimpse of Victor's own dreams buried beneath the surface. Will he confront those shadows, or would he be swept back into the tides of cautious reality? With the stakes rising, the curtain was about to reveal what lay beneath their collective aspirations. The following week felt like a shaky foundation upon which the transformation of the diner hung. Lily's excitement clashed with the inertia that clung stubbornly to Victor. Each morning, as the sun rose above the diner, she sensed a battle within him, a silent struggle against innovation that had become his lifeline. They had decided to introduce a new dish, an eclectic fusion she had dreamt up, combining flavors from their childhoods. It was a bold choice, a risk she hoped would resonate with customers. Yet as they prepared for the launch, Victor moved about the kitchen with the weight of a man holding 1,000 expectations. He was methodical, almost robotic, as he measured out ingredients with a precision that mirrored his desire for control. "Lily, are you sure this will work?" he questioned, wiping his brow as the first batch of the new dish simmered on the stove. His voice was laced with doubt, and she felt the air thicken with uncertainty. "Trust the process, Victor," she said, stepping closer. "Just like you, this dish needs to evolve. Remember how we talked about embracing vulnerability? This is our chance." He paused, the tension in his shoulders easing for a split second. The flicker of hesitance crossed his face, then was swiftly replaced by his usual guardedness. "It's easy to talk about courage. What if we reach for something, only to have it fall apart?" "Then we learn," Lily replied, her conviction oddly calming, even to herself. "Every failure is a step towards understanding what our customers truly want. Growth doesn't hide from failures, it thrives on them." Victor turned away, the fire of inspiration waning in his expression. She could feel a crack forming in their partnership. Her optimism met with his skepticism like oil against water. With the opening day approaching, Lily took it upon herself to simplify the preparations. She met with the kitchen staff, infusing energy into their routine and encouraging their participation in the new venture. "Let's make this our own," she rallied. "Bring your ideas, share your feelings about what we're creating together. A surge of creativity washed over her as they brainstormed a vibrant atmosphere for the menu revealed. In the midst of this whirlwind of planning, she found moments to reflect on her own progress. She knew Victor was sorting through his shadows, but she didn't want to surrender to fear herself. This was her chance to stand firm in her beliefs, to challenge the model they had both adhered to for so long. The night of the launch arrived, and the diner buzzed with an atmosphere charged with anticipation. Lily's heart raced at the sight of guests being seated, trickles of laughter and conversation threading through the air. Victor, however, remained on edge, monitoring each table with the vigilance of a cagey guardian. As the new dish made its debut, the reactions were mixed. Some diners were charmed while others crinkled their noses in confusion. She watched Victor's expression tighten with criticism as he observed more frowns than smiles. "Lily," he whispered, his voice almost a crackle against the din. "This isn't going the way we hoped." "Give it time," she urged, heart pounding in response to his worry. "Let it unfold. Not everything worth something happens at once." But as the evening progressed, Lily began to waver. The anxiety that had been a distant voice rose within her, gnawing at her confidence. Was her vision wrong? Had she miscalculated the desires of their patrons? Just when despair threatened to settle over her like an unwelcome fog, Victor's gaze softened. "You know, maybe this isn't a complete failure after all," he admitted quietly, watching a table erupt into laughter as they savored the new fusion. The idea of optimism cracked through his stern demeanor, and a flicker of hope emerged, but before she could breathe a sigh of relief, another table raised their concerns, voices mingling with unease. The conflicting reactions spiraled around them, the ghosts of self-doubt emerging once again. As the night ebbed, she caught Victor in a moment of contemplation. "You've got to face your fear, Victor. Just like I have to face mine. If we want this to work, we both need to step out of our safe bubbles." The exchange was intense, loaded with the weight of their shared insecurities, and beneath it all glimmered the potential for true partnership. For the first time, Lily sensed they stood on the brink of something monumental, not just for the diner but also for themselves. With a palpable silence encasing them, Lily considered how much lay ahead, the uncharted territory of vulnerability they still needed to navigate. Then, from the depths of their struggle emerged a question that would define their journey. What would they discover if they each ventured beyond their fears, ready to embrace the unknown? As the light flickered in the diner, a thrilling uncertainty settled upon them, hinting at deeper truths waiting to be uncovered. Would they take the plunge, or retreat into the comforting shadows of restraint once more? As the diner emptied and the clatter of dishes subsided into an unsettling silence, Lily felt the weight of the evening sink into her bones. The mixed reviews of their daring dish stung like an unhealed wound, but there was a glimmer of resilience buried within her, urging her to confront her own fears head-on. Across the kitchen, Victor stood in stillness, staring at the list of orders that had once flowed like a current of possibility. His expression faded between contemplation and frustration, mirroring her inner turmoil. "Maybe we pushed too far too soon," he said quietly, the energy left in his voice only a fraction of its usual fervor. "No, Victor," she argued, finding strength in her convictions. "We just need to refine what we created, not abandon it. Every great dish needs someone to believe in it, even when it's new and unfamiliar." His eyes flickered to the kitchen door, the comforting chaos of their diner now a distant echo. "But what if the diners don't come back? What if all we did was turn them away?" His voice trailed off, revealing the vulnerability he held tight beneath his bravado. "Maybe we just need to ask them why," Lily suggested cautiously, contemplating the mixture of excitement and dread that churned within her. They could invite the very patrons who had embraced them to share their truths about the dish. Wasn't that what she had advocated for all along, transparency and openness? Victor frowned, uncertainty etching itself deeper into his expression. "And if they don't like it? We can't afford to turn this place into a battleground for our failures. Or we use those failures as stepping stones," she pressed. "Look, I know it takes courage to face discomfort. Being a chef doesn't shield you from criticism, but every meal can provide insights, and we can grow from realizing what truly resonates. For the first time, she noticed a flicker of hope passing through him, his breath slightly steadied. Yet doubt shadowed the moment, raising the stakes of their conversation. She recognized the truth: growth wasn't merely about success, but how they learned to stand together in the face of adversity. Without hesitation, Lily made a decision that felt radical yet necessary. Let us have a tasting event. A chance for our customers to tell us what connects with them and what doesn't. Victor resisted with a heavy sigh. Do you really think they'll come, after this? We can't stay silent and second-guess ourselves, she replied, fire igniting within her. If we don't invite feedback, we'll be stuck in our fears forever. I can handle the arrangements, you just need to trust me. An indecisive moment passed between them, nearly tangible, before Victor nodded slowly. Okay, let us do it. As excitement coursed through her veins, Lily felt a shift. Suddenly, their partnership seemed capable of weathering this storm, despite the challenges they faced. They were building something new, a blend of their creativity and the diner's long-established persona. With every detail of their tasting event that Lily meticulously planned, she felt a sense of empowerment and purpose. Yet beneath her excitement, the realization struck: if they invited customers in with open arms, they would also open themselves to the judgment of their vulnerabilities. The night before the event, in a quiet moment of reflection at a booth shrouded in shadows, Lily wrestled with her own doubts. Would she be able to handle the rawness of their patrons' feedback? Could she accurately translate those responses into meaningful adjustments? The thought that gnawed at her was a bitter aftertaste of her earlier confidence. Determined not to get lost in uncertainty, she made a decision. She'd face whatever came. For every expectation, every cringe-inducing moment, there would be an opportunity for growth. In welcoming their customers' genuine feedback, she would also embrace their honesty as a potential catalyst for transformation, not just for the diner, but for herself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the diner's windows, she felt a sense of anxious anticipation. Perhaps the ultimate revelation was realizing that success did not exclusively reside in acclaim but in the strength to face truths, no matter how uncomfortable. With the glow of hope illuminating her path, she held a deep breath and whispered to herself, tomorrow, we step into the fire. The taste of uncertainty still lingered on her palate, but this time she welcomed it, ready to embrace the unknown ahead. As she prepared for the event, she couldn't shake the question that danced in the corners of her mind: what truths would emerge when they stood vulnerably before their patrons, and how would those truths reshape not just the diner, but their very identities? The bright fluorescent lights of the diner flickered to life as the day of the tasting event dawned, casting sharp shades against the natural wood of the counters. Lily stood in the kitchen, surrounded by the tangible intensity of her anticipation, a sensation that vibrated around her like a held breath. She had meticulously planned this day down to the finest detail, but no amount of preparation could quell the rapid tempo of her heart. She leaned over the counter, aligning the plates with the precision of a surgeon. Each dish, a culinary narrative she aimed to share. Salmon with a citrus glaze, tart and sweet, a risotto tinged with saffron, creamy yet bright. Delicious not just for their flavors but for the memories they sought to resurrect. Memories that danced on the edge of her conscience like a forgotten song. That's the spirit, Victor chimed, breaking her concentration. He stepped inside, his hands awkwardly clutching the notes she crafted for the diners, each one a heartfelt touchstone encouraging the realness she fought to embody. I want this to challenge them, she said, scratching her chin thoughtfully. Not just their taste buds, but their perceptions too. Are you prepared for what they might say? Victor asked, the anxious furrow in his brow betraying his earlier resolve. Prepared? Perhaps not. But I can't shy away from it. If I'm going to evolve as a chef, I need to understand how they truly feel. Her voice carried a steadiness that she herself had to believe in. The tension in the kitchen thickened as the clock ticked down to the start of the event. The familiar rhythm of their workspace suddenly felt foreign. Every chop of the knife and sizzle of oil became a reminder of the expectations they were about to face. When the diner finally began to fill with faces both familiar and uncertain, Lily stood on the precipice of vulnerability. Each new customer carried the weight of potential criticism and insight. She welcomed them like ships at sea, knowing the tempest of opinion that awaited. "Hey, I'm just going to have a quick word with everyone," she said to Victor, sensing the moment had come to embrace the vulnerability she had prepared for. She stepped onto the small stage they had created at the front of the diner, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Thank you all for coming. Today, we want to offer you something special, not just a meal, but a chance for sharing," she began, the words heavy on her tongue, yet liberating in their honesty. "What we serve is a reflection of who we are, but it's not perfect. We need you, and your honest feedback, to help us grow." Eyes shifted, wistful and curious. Tentative nods encouraged her, igniting a fire of hope. Within that moment, she could see their hesitance beginning to thaw, transforming into genuine intrigue. Victor watched as some patrons murmured to each other. A few faces lit up with excitement, while others remained skeptical. But it was that blend of reactions, curiosity, doubt, and hope that catalyzed Lily's resolve. This was not about perfection, it was about connection. The food began to circulate, and Lily moved through tables, carefully asking diners about each dish. The feedback came in bursts, a hesitant smile, an eyebrow raised in enthusiasm, and sometimes even confusion. And yet, each response wove into the fabric of her understanding, building a tapestry of how their culinary offerings were perceived. However, as she listened intently, a particular comment lodged itself in her mind, unsettling her with a stab of fear. One diner, an imposing figure who sat in a corner booth, remarked, "I expected more innovation for a place that claims to be daring." A quiet sneer accompanied it, undermining her previous confidence. Lily felt exposed. Was this what they were risking their fragile restaurant for? The prospect of having their endeavor dismissed before it had threaded itself into the town's fabric. The comments she had braced herself for had quickly spiraled into critique as intricate and convoluted as their recipes. Pushing down her rising insecurities, she took a deep breath and reminded herself of the bigger picture. Every dish had its fans and its critics, it was all part of the journey. But as the evening unfolded, she couldn't escape the gnawing truth that the weight of the unknown still loomed ahead. How would today's revelations shape her approach? Could she adapt quickly enough to defy the expectations that stifled their creativity? In that moment of intense reflection, she realized the true test was not just about understanding criticism but also learning to navigate it. Lily glanced at Victor, who stood resolutely by her side. They were not only facing down their fears but also beginning to learn who they truly were in the process. Would the evening yield support or scorn? Would it teach them to thrive or merely survive? The answers felt tantalizingly close, hanging in the air as if waiting for the next course to be served. And as she took a moment before confronting the diners again, one question pierced through the noise in her mind: were they brave enough to elevate this dining experience into something truly transformative? As the evening wore on, and the diners mulled over their meals, Lily stood back, observing the interplay of emotions swirling around Millionaire diner. Each plate returned bore witness to the hopes she had stitched into this event. It was more than a menu change, it was the compass recalibrating the course of an entire community. She reminded herself that this was a pivotal moment for both her and Victor, a crucible in which their ambitions and fears would be tested. A sudden wave of chatter drew her attention, pulling her from her thoughts. One couple, animated in discussion, gestured toward her direction, pointing at their plates. It felt uncomfortably intimate and invasive. With a deep breath, she approached their table, her heart racing with anticipation. "How are you enjoying the new dishes?" she asked, striving to inject confidence into her voice. The woman, her hands animated as she spoke, chimed eagerly, "The flavors are so unique. I love how you've combined these elements, it feels familiar yet refreshingly new." Relief washed over Lily, this was the validation she sought. But soon, the man at the table interjected, "I get the intention, but I don't think it fully hits the mark. If you're attempting innovation, I'd expect some bold risks. They feel a bit safe." Lily nodded, swallowing the sting of his words. "Thank you for being honest. That's exactly what tonight is about for us, finding the right balance." She felt the tenuous threads of doubt weave into her resolve. "Did you have any suggestions for improvement?" He hesitated, glancing at his companion, who encouraged him to share. "Maybe dive deeper into the cultural roots of those flavors. That might elevate the dish even further." "Great idea. I appreciate your feedback," she replied, genuinely intrigued by the prospect of exploring deeper connections through their culinary expressions. Her heart buoyed by the constructive criticism, she slipped away, ready to share her findings with Victor. Yet, as she spotted him, a knowing grimace graced his features, mirroring the discontent that churned within her. "I just had a conversation that was insightful, but tough," she said, summoning strength. "Yeah, I've gathered quite a few mixed reviews," he murmured, glancing anxiously at the dwindling crowd. "What if we can't recover from this? Then we adapt." She insisted, her voice steady despite her rattled emotions. "Every great venture includes setbacks. This feedback is our chance to redefine what we want to be. Remember, we're not just serving food, we're creating a cultural dialogue." He looked skeptical, brow furrowing deeply. "But it feels like we threw the dice and lost. How can dissatisfaction lead to anything positive?" Lily inhaled, recalling the sketches from her grandmother, symbols of resilience and creativity. "We need to embrace our fears of failure. It allows us to open up, to evolve. It's not about flipping the entire diner concept in one night, but rather making small, impactful changes that resonate." Victor regarded her intently, the tension in his shoulders easing ever so slightly. "So, you're suggesting we actually listen to the feedback and incorporate it?" "Exactly. Let us invite our patrons to help shape what we offer. We can host a focus group, challenge our perceptions of what diner food means in a modern context, mix it up, push those boundaries. We're both fearless, capable of turning this around." For the first time that evening, Victor's gaze softened with intrigue. "Maybe I underestimated the potential of connection instead of profit. Change can be frightening, but without fear, there's stagnation," Lily articulated, emboldened by their shared vulnerability. "Each misstep is an opportunity to solidify our journey rather than define it. Let us take the tempest of feedback and channel it into reimagining ourselves." As they spoke, the sentiment around them shifted. Fewer harsh criticisms came rolling in. Enthusiasm and curiosity began to take root among the patrons, manifesting an unexpected energy within the diner. Victor's resolve visibly bolstered as he glimpsed the potential. Lying beneath the surface, they began crafting a renewed vision, each discussion sparking a transformational fire. They grasped how vulnerable viewpoints served as guiding stars, illustrating pathways anew. In the following days, the diner's walls pulsed with energy, anticipation brewing as they gathered the community's thoughts into tangible suggestions, scattering seedling ideas that would flourish. Weeks later, they launched a revitalized menu, bursting forth with fresh insights and carefully integrated feedback. Diners returned with an eagerness that rippled through conversations, anticipation blossoming like new life. The diner became a hub not only of culinary exploration but symbiotic interaction, a bridge between ideas and a sanctuary for growth. As she stood on a busy Friday night, laughter echoing amidst vibrant artwork adorned with community input, she was reminded of the singular truth: she had reclaimed her narrative, not only for herself but for the diner they both cherished. Lily had evolved into a heavyweight in her craft, gaining solid confidence from the community's venture, creating lasting connections where it mattered most. The transformation from waitress to architect was complete, unstoppable and fiercely resolute. Victor's expression mirrored her own, pride crackled in the air around them. "We did it," he said quietly, brow lifted in acknowledgement. Together, they proved that facing fears could lead to boundless opportunities. The diner flourished, alive with creativity and collaboration, each success building upon the last. Their journey, a testament to confronting fears and paving the way for growth. Together, they became the architects of not just a restaurant but of their destinies beyond, ready to redefine themselves. Now, it's your turn to experience this journey of transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.